If you've ever wondered why some spa brands effortlessly win loyal customers while others struggle to get noticed, it all comes down to a few critical elements: smart market research, clearly defining your why, and crafting a magnetic brand identity. In today's episode, we're diving into each one to give you a blueprint to turn your vision into a thriving, irresistible beauty brand. Let's get into it.
In this first segment, Andrea and I are diving into one of the most critical and honestly overlooked parts of building your spa brand: market research. This is where you see what's working, spot the gaps your competitors miss, and make strategic decisions about where your brand fits best.
Elise, what are the biggest mistakes that brand owners are making when it comes to market research?
I think the biggest mistake a lot of brands make is either being too dependent on their own kind of thoughts about what they want their product to be. They don't listen to their outside they don't listen to their consumers, or on the other hand, people just listen to consumers what they want, and they try to give them a brand that isn't really a brand. It's just kind of like random people on the internet's ideas. And I think that it's really hard for people to kind of balance both of those things because you need to have a really strong brand ethos, kind of where you're coming from, but at the same time, you can't completely ignore what people want. So I think it's that fine balance that I think is really hard, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also think that one of the mistakes that most brand owners make is when they have a unique idea and they're trying to conduct market research, they forget to look at the numbers. So they might have a really unique idea. There might be a gap in the market, but they forget to think about, okay, how many people, what size demographic would need a product like this? Like, is it capped to, let's say, if you're launching a product that's only for a specific skin type, or moms during pregnancy, or whatever it is. You have to look at the numbers and say, can I scale this? Is the target audience large enough where the problem is prevalent enough for this product to really be needed? And I feel like that's also something that a lot of brand owners or spa owners will overlook.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and it needs to be organic too. I think, to use that word in kind of, a non-biological sense, just it needs to come from inside and be real from the person who's doing it, who's creating the brand, and then to your point, it needs to be realistic. It can't just like make something for like people with freckles. It needs to be like a bigger kind of idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that we need to pay attention, which I think this is very hard to do, but you have to pay attention to whether something is a passing trend or whether it's something that's really going to last. So for a while, products with CBD were all the rage. Then we kind of saw a dip, And so a lot of times new ingredients will come up or new product formats will come up, and you have to conduct the right research to try to figure out as best as possible, is this something that's going to last, or is it something that people are going to get tired of pretty quickly?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like that must be one of the most frustrating aspects of the skincare world for estheticians and formulators is that people, I think it's just human nature to want a panacea, something that's going to solve all of your issues in a bottle. And so I think that's kind of, what leads a lot of those trends. And so I can imagine if you are hyper educated about ingredients and all of those things that you're like, again, like, here we go, like bakuchi oil. It's this year it's bakuchi oil. Next year it's gonna be like frogs or whatever. So yeah.
Yes, I actually just heard of this one new trending ingredient that I don't understand at all, but it's salmon sperm, and everybody's asking for it in their products, and I just really don't see this lasting because, like, also, how do you source that, and scale that? And I think that's gonna be one of those things that people kinda get sick of, for a little bit and maybe grossed out by. I'm particularly grossed out by it, but I think that spa owners have to straddle this line of finding products and formulas that work and actually address their clients' skin concerns, but still staying relevant to the trends happening. But it's important to know that not every trend you need to kind of dip into. Like some you could just let pass you by and, you know, let that wave go. So then when you're analyzing competitors, what do you think that spa or brand owners should focus on when they're trying to set their brand apart from competitors?
Yeah, I think when you're analyzing your competitors, you have to understand who they're already targeting, who you wanna target. Is it different? Is it the same? Are you gonna try to go after the same mom with the same vitamin C, or what makes yours different, makes yours special? So I think just the differentiator in both your product, the group that you're going after, those are the 2 biggest things.
Yeah, and what problem you're solving. Like, is another product already solving that problem? How could you do it differently? Or how could you market your product differently, right? So if there's, um, I don't know, if there's already a product on the market, but they're not utilizing like TikTok Shop, maybe go that route. So just figuring out how you can do maybe the same thing, but in a bit of a different way so that you also have space for yourself, for your brand. So, what advice do you think we should give spa owners or brand owners when they're trying to set their retail prices?
Yeah, this is a hard question. I think it depends on a few different things. Of course, the cost of their goods that they're using or creating, and then I think also your area. Like what's reasonable in your area. If you have a spa, are people paying $50 for a facial? Are they paying $150 for a facial? And then I think if you are going to position yourself a little bit above, why? What differentiates you? What makes your salmon sperm facials better than the person across the street? So I think it's marketing again and knowing who you're going after and the things that they want to hear if they're gonna pay for something.
I also think that, like what you said, first of all, your costs, right? So, what is your overhead? What are your cost of goods? What margins do you want to be meeting? But also, like, look at your experience. Are you in a really nice facility that gives over that, like, upscale feel, or are you working out of a studio, but you still have a super upscale demographic coming in where they're a little more affluent and they can afford higher services? I just met a spa owner who works in an area where people can't really afford super expensive products, but they have a ton of skin issues, if it's acne or hyperpigmentation, and her whole process is just trying to find quality products that actually work but aren't too expensive where her clients can't afford it, and she's really set out to help those clients. So, I feel like just understanding who's walking through your doors or who you're targeting and what they can afford, would probably be the best place to start. Something I find really interesting is that spa owners have an option to sell only to clients coming in through their door, or they can explore some online options. So, what factors should spa owners consider when deciding to only sell at their spa, salon, studio, or to kind of explore selling on Amazon or their e commerce platform?
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down initially to price, what they can afford, how many quantities can they order of the product, and then I think market research too. You want to try it on people IRL, as they say, to make sure that it's a good product because what you wouldn't want to happen is get really excited. Oh my gosh, I'm starting my skincare brand. I'm going to buy 500,000 units. I'm going to start selling it on Amazon. And then you get 500,000 returns because, XYZ happens. So I think start slow, make sure that you're really proud and confident in your product. Get some nice like business going in your facility. Use it on real people, use it on yourself, give it to your friends, make sure that the product is strong. And then I think you could explore maybe your own direct to consumer website, like spaabc.com. I don't know. I would maybe not go straight to an Amazon because there are so many heavy hitters spending so much money on Amazon to get their products sold. So I would say start slow, make it a cult brand in your area, and then it will grow organically.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I think that something that spa owners have, to their advantage is that they have people walking through their door already, and so it's a natural opportunity to vet the product out and try them and see where are my slow sellers, what are my weaker products. Okay, I'm not gonna purchase those anymore. What are my, hot products that are selling fast? Now I can reinvest in those a little bit further and find additional similar products. And the fact that you can private label with lower quantities gives you that room to grow and to scale without, burying yourself in inventory and in dollar investment. So I definitely agree with you that they should utilize those natural selling opportunities and kind of like I've said before, you learn most once you launch. But if you can launch with smaller quantities and take less risk as you're learning, utilize that to your advantage. Okay, next we're talking about another piece of building your brand vision, your why. In this segment, we're testing how well we know the why behind some of today's beauty brands. We'll each take turns reading the why statement behind some of today's beauty brands and see who can guess the brand correctly. Here we go.
Okay, first up, Here is a skincare brand, that's all I'll say, and their tagline, their why is "Your skin, our science, pure chemistry."
Ooh, your skin, our science, pure chemistry, is clinical.
Mhm. You got it. Alright, next up is a brand that is maybe on the smaller side, but growing really quickly and very beloved by those who know about good skincare. Um, I don't really have their tagline, but I have the idea, the concept of how it was started, which was by 2 sisters.
Okay. 2 sisters.
It's the word sister in another language.
Okay, I know this one. It is Sorella.
Mhm, you're right. And I love that their products are both they're really efficacious, they're great products, and they're beautiful, which I think is their whole thing, is they wanted something as beautiful on the outside as it was on the inside, so obsessed with their skin products, their lip products.
Yes, they have a great aesthetic and really high quality formulations. So I have one for you. It's a brand that's doing extremely well lately. They're growing very nicely, and their whole premise is skincare for damaged skin utilizing patent technology. So they target things like rosacea or any sort of skin damage. They work on skin barrier repair.
I know it.
Yes, tell me.
Rescue MD.
Yes.
I knew it. I love them.
I know, and we were so lucky to have Amy here on the show, which was so fun.
Alright, last one.
Okay.
Okay, this is a very much a skincare brand. Kind of a like not as on people's much as on people's radar, not as much on people's radar as I think it should be. And one of their mission statements is meet the next generation of antibacterial care that works with your skin, not against it.
Hey, I know this one, and I love this one, Doctor Lift.
Me too. I will say that this is TMI, but since having kids, I am a little bit, smelling less good as I used to, and so I think Dr. Lift is great for just making sure that when you're showering, you are get completely destinkified before going on with your day.
Yes, and it's my go-to hand wash for, like, cold flu season. I make my kids come home and wash with it every day before they touch anything around the house because nobody needs viruses. So I totally agree. Elise, what do you think it is about these whys that actually work?
I think that the reason why these brands succeed is the quality ultimately. I think you can market and sell a poor quality product for a time, but I think these brands have a good reputation because of the quality ultimately, and that's what creates, a heritage brand, one that stays around and will be around.
Yeah, I really agree. I think it's also a combination of having a clear why that actually solves a problem that's prevalent. But then, like you said, it's not just about that. It's also the quality, it's also the customer service, it's also the storytelling, it's your marketing, it's everything coming together. So it's not as simple as just defining your why, doing your market research, putting a product out there, and thinking it's going to sell itself. You have to make sure that you're super buttoned up because it's such a competitive industry and there are new brands popping up right and left. And so if you skip a step or try to cut corners, then it'll ultimately, hurt the brand later down the line. But when you really take your time to make sure my why is clear and I'm actually addressing a concern that most people are dealing with, I have done my market research, I've priced it well. I am aesthetically pleasing to the eye. The product itself is great quality and I'm aware of what's going on around me and I'm servicing my customers in the best possible way. I think all of that will come together to really set your brand apart and actually lend itself to your success versus just being like, okay, this is addressing rosacea, here you go, and then just thinking that the product is gonna, sell itself. This episode is brought to you by Spa de Soleil, your trusted partner in private label beauty. With little investment and low minimum quantities, Spa de Soleil makes launching your beauty brand effortless. Leverage 30 years of expertise, premium formulations, and responsive support to confidently grow your brand. Start your journey today at spadesoleil.com.
In the final segment, Andrea and I are going to break down the importance of your brand's identity. We're going to start with a little game, and then I will pick Andrea's brain with a few questions. Let's get into it. All right, Andrea, to kick us off here, I'm going to read a few brand identities. You tell me the first brand that comes to mind when I read each identity.
Okay, there are a lot of brands that are actually tackling being eco-friendly, plastic-free, having sustainable packaging. So I feel like I don't have one brand in mind that's doing this super well, but if you walk the shelves of Credo Beauty, let's say, you would find a plethora of brands that have it baked in their brand identity to be super eco-friendly. So anything at Credo Beauty because their standards are super high.
Okay, next word luxurious.
Anything at Sephora. Um, I will tell you, La Mer always delivers really luxury formulas. Charlotte Tilbury, her formulas are super luxurious. Yeah, I just think there are so many products to choose from and brands to choose from when you're looking for luxury. So those are 2 off the top of my head.
Next, scientific.
Okay, scientific. SkinCeuticals, has always been driven by, scientific research. Dr. Dennis Gross also, always driven by clinical research. And I would say Alastin Skincare also is really backed by scientific research. They do a lot of clinical work. So those are the 3 that I would think of.
All right, last word. It's a little bit, this is a tough one. Holistic.
Holistic.
This one's tough because, like, do they pray over it? Like, what are we?
I think Cora Organics does a nice job at incorporating like a holistic mindset into their brand identity. There are a lot of certified organic brands that try to do this and brands that try to incorporate Ayurveda and Ayurvedic ingredients in their formulations. So I feel like it's a little bit vague, a holistic brand identity, but I would look to like Whole Foods and check those brands out, and they most probably have some holistic theme baked into their brand.
Andrea, why does having a clearly defined brand identity matter so much for spa owners launching their own product?
I think this matters because you don't want to be confusing to your target audience. Because there's so much competition in this market, and like I said, there are new brands popping up left and right, and you're going up against the big brands, the big players that have their marketing strategy and brand identity down pat. You don't want to have your target demographic have to think twice, right? So it's a matter of seconds, and they have to see your brand a few times before they're going to decide, okay, let me try this brand. And then the experience has to be there for them to trust your brand and try it again. So if you can eliminate confusion and if you can eliminate the time it takes for them to understand who you are and what you stand for, then that is going to allow more clients to, feel comfortable trying because when you are taking care of your skin and you have products that you love and believe in, it's hard to break away from that. So for a new brand, it is important. It's crucial to be super clear about who you are and to give that message over very clearly without being confusing.
Yeah, I agree with that response completely. What questions should spa owners be asking themselves in order to pinpoint exactly what their brand voice should sound like?
What am I solving? Like, who is walking through my door? What skin types am I treating most often? What do I believe in? What ingredients do I believe actually works to heal whatever skin ailment I'm treating? I think starting there, like start with the obvious. What's on the table for you? And from there, start developing your brand identity and your mission statement and your why. And it'll be more organic rather than trying to force something that you don't really deal with anyway.
Yeah. And what do you think is the best way for spa owners to communicate their brand identity, whether it be in their product descriptions or marketing materials?
I think taking a look at their competitors and seeing how product descriptions are laid out with competitors is a good place to start. But do not ever copy somebody else's product description because you need a unique identity and you need to sound like you. You need to sound like your brand. So I think that, you know, think about how would you want this brand to be presented to you? Like, how does it make most sense to you? And you really need to step outside of your own mind to figure out, okay, if this brand is targeting hyperpigmentation and I'm suffering from hyperpigmentation, what needs to be said to me to clearly understand what this product is going to do for me? And how can I say that in its simplest form? Also, ChatGPT. It's helpful, and you can use that as a foundation and then edit it and tailor it to really sound like your brand. So if you need a helping hand today, ChatGPT is there. Thank you so much for listening to the Beauty Beneath podcast. I'm your host, Andrea.
And I'm your co host, Elise.
Remember, it's not just skincare, it's a skin lifestyle.